up during the webinar. Hopefully everybody is able to see the slides that we're presenting. Let us know in the chat if you are not able to, as well as hear me okay. And we can move on to the next slide, Ozzy. Thank you so much for letting us know that you can hear us. All right, so just a little housekeeping. We are recording this session because we want to make it available to you and others that could not attend today. This is really a baseline introductory presentation. We'll be talking more about some ongoing events and classes that we have at the end. But again, feel free to use the chat to post any questions that you have throughout the presentation so that I can address them while Ozzy is running through all the important details. Take it away, Ozzy.
All right, thank you, everybody. Hi, welcome to the Lawn Be Gone virtual seminar. We're happy to have you here. We're excited to show you how to get this process going. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera just while I'm doing the slide presentation, but then we'll be back up at the end with the Q&A. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So first off, why remove your lawn? Why do we make such a big deal about like, hey, it's important to take your lawn out? Well, how you can see in these photos, it's really, really difficult to keep a nice green lawn going. Eventually, it starts to go brown, and then you feel like you just need to keep watering it more and more. On average, in Southern California, we get 5 to 20 inches of rainfall a year. But lawn requires 4 times the amount of that average rainfall. So with retrofitting and taking out your lawn and putting something in place like California natives or California friendly plants, you're watering closer to the average rainfall. So that's not only saving you water, it's also saving you money. And the way that things are trending, the climate is only getting hotter and drier. So now more than ever, we find that it's a good time to take out that lawn and put in something that is going to thrive in this climate, but also be able to use less water. So this is what turf removal looks like. A lot of people get the impression that that have to have that southwestern desert look. And there's nothing wrong with that look. If you're a fan of that look, I mean, it's a great look. I like that look, but it's not the only option. There is, an option to have something very colorful. So when we talk about turf removal and these retrofits, we're talking about colorful landscapes. We're talking about living landscapes, that have these different accents and have these different contours, these dimensions that actually make your landscape area pop and actually make the area look a lot bigger than it did before when you had that lawn. So a little background on the turf removal rebate as to like where it comes from. This is a regional program. So funding comes through our regional wholesaler, which is the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. We just call them MET for short. They offer the program to the whole region, but the Municipal Water District of Orange County, that's that logo there in the center, and we're just going to be calling them MODOC for short going forward. MODOC, they have a special program just for Orange County. Now you bring in Santa Margarita Water District, us, and we are the inspector. So locally, well, first you're applying with MODOC. So this rebate process, everything that you're doing, you're applying with MODOC. But locally, here at Santa Margarita, we're here to help you move through the process so that you're successful, so that your project is eligible. We're here to help answer any questions. We're going to be the ones that are going to be conducting your pre and post inspection. So we're going to be that middleman to help you be successful with MODOC. It is a good idea to clear any HOA requirements early on in the process, just because if there's any delay and you're in a hurry to get the project going, it's good to check any requirements that they might have on their end and get those taken care of, before you start applying. Most important thing is do not remove the grass before applying. So the turf must be there when we at Santa Margarita Water District show up to the pre-inspection. Okay, so here we are. So we're going to get to the main thing, which is how to apply. How do we get this going? The turf removal rebate application is broken up into sections. So we've highlighted these for you here. We aren't going to go through the entire application just because a lot of it is basic questions that you would come across in any application, where somebody just needs to, have all your contact info so they know how to get a hold of you. So a lot of it, is going to be, what you normally come across in an application you're already familiar with. But we did want to highlight these steps. The agency and contact will be the first section in the application where it will ask you your agency, Santa Margarita Water District. It's going to give you ask you for your contact information. And then the next step is going to be your rebate section. And the rebate section is you're just going to be putting down who's getting paid, who is going to get the rebate check at the end of it all. So that information is going to actually just be redundant from the previous step, which is a lot of that same contact info if that same person is getting the rebate check. The third section of the application is going to be your site and project section. And that's going to be where you're going to answer a few questions about what the site looked like, how are you watering it. And then the fourth step is photos of that site that you're going to be uploading. And then the very last step is just doing a review of all of those previous 4 steps, making sure that you have everything filled out correctly before you finally hit the submit button. Okay, so first off, for all things rebates, including this turf removal program, please visit smwd.com/rebates. Always come to this website. It links you to all of our rebates, both indoor and outdoor rebates, and there's always new stuff going on. So I highly encourage you to visit this site as much as possible throughout the year. When you go to smwd.com/rebates, the very top of the webpage will look like it does there at the top of your screen. To get to the turf removal, you're going to scroll halfway down on this page to where it says turf removal rebate residential $3 per square foot. So you're going to click that link. Once you click that link, now you're going over to the Municipal Water District of Orange County, MODOC. So now you're on MODOC's page. On your screen, you're only looking at the very top part of what that web page is going to look like. When you go to that web page, the photo behind there might look different because that photo does change, but that banner will always be there. So at the top of that banner where it says turf removal, and it's highlighted there in red, you're going to click that. That's going to bring down that drop-down menu there, and you're going to click at the very bottom where it says apply now. Once you click that apply now, it's going to then forward you to a new page where you will see this form right here. And that's where you are going to create a droplet portal account. So you're going to create a profile, just like you would with any other app that you're signing up for, where you always have to register a username, password, that sort of thing. So this droplet portal account is not only where you're going to be filling out your application with MODOC, it's going to be where you're going to be living in throughout the whole process, from the beginning of the application to your pre-inspection, to your post-inspection. This is where you're going to be uploading your photos. This is also where you're going to be communicating with MODOC and where they will be communicating with you. So this is something that not only at the beginning when you apply for the application, but throughout the process, you're going to be logging back into this droplet portal, making sure that everything is being uploaded and that you're corresponding to any questions that MODOC might have and vice versa. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but for me, there's nothing that bugs me more than when I sit down and I do an application and I all of a sudden realize that I need this and I need that and I don't have it ready, and then I have to stop the application midway through. So I'm telling you right now that these are the 3 things that you need to have ahead of time before you sit down and you fill out this application. Once you do have these 3 things, it's really quick. So you're going to need your water bill. You're going to need your site plan. and I will touch on what that site plan is in just a moment. And you're going to need photos of your site. So those three things are the things that you're going to need for the application. In the next 3 slides, I'm going to be showing you parts of the application where these 3 documents are uploaded. So you will see parts of what the application does look like. So the first one is the water bill. And the water bill comes up in the agency and contact section of the application, which is the very first part of the application where you do all your contact info. Once you've filled out all of your name and contact info, which isn't showing here up on this screen, it will, but at the bottom of that info, it's going to ask you for the current water bill, and that's where you will upload that. Where can you get your water bill? If you don't get it in the mail, you can go to smwd.com, which is the main landing page of our website. And at the very far right, there's a little green button that says pay bill. You can click that little pay bill and you can sign on for an online account. And that will actually allow you to obtain a copy of your bill. You can also pay your bill online through there also if you're not doing it in that method already. If you already have your bill, just take a photo of it with your phone, or you can scan it as a PDF, and then you're good to go to upload it there. Since we're on this page, I do want to bring your attention to the acknowledgement checklist that you can see here. Please look at these carefully, but I especially want to highlight the very last check mark, which is the I confirm that I've read and understand and agree to terms and conditions. If I know that it's super common to, any form that we fill out, we just want to automatically go to the bottom and click the I agree without reading the terms and conditions, because I get it, it's lengthy, it's all this legal mumbo jumbo stuff that we can't understand. But for this, I really strongly encourage you to read those terms and conditions carefully, because a lot of that stuff does kind of pop up through the rebate process. I have highlighted some for you here on the left-hand side. These are some of those terms and conditions that do pop up. W-9, the IRS does require anyone receiving a $600 or more in rebates to receive a 1099. So therefore, a W-9 is required to receive payment any greater than that amount. Since 2022, the state did pass a bill that exempts turf removal rebates, only the turf removal, so this doesn't apply to other rebates, to be excluded from gross state income tax, but it would still be subject to federal taxation. Some of the other terms and conditions there are 90 days to complete from the date of from the date of letter to proceed. So after we go out there and we do a pre-inspection, MODOC will review that pre-inspection that we at Santa Margarita conducted, and they will go ahead and issue you a letter to proceed if everything looks good, and then that's when you can actually start your project. That's when your 90 days start. Third point, like I said earlier, make sure that you clear any HOA CC&R requirements. HOAs, can't stop a resident from removing their lawn and replacing it with California-friendly plants, but that doesn't mean that they don't have CC&R requirements. That doesn't mean that they don't have a plant palette that you need to follow. So please check with your HOA, make sure that you are abiding by their any plant requirements, any plant palettes, any retrofit requirements. Make sure that you check with them. Anything that the HOA says, supersedes us. We don't have any authority as as to what they do. So please check with your HOA. You're going to be providing invoices and receipts. Another term and condition is MODOC does have the right to use those photos that you have uploaded for any promotional purposes. And MET and MODOC do reserve the right to perform a second post inspection at any time. So those are just once again, those are just some of the terms and conditions. There are plenty of others. The second document that you are going to upload will come under the site and project section of your application. Okay, and that will be uploaded right here. So what is the site plan? So a site plan is going to be basically the blueprint or the drawing or the plan that shows what it is that you're taking out. So it's basically going to have your house, and you're going to, it's going to show your landscaping, and it's going to show what part of the landscaping has the grass that you're taking out, and it's going to show what it is that you're putting in its place. As you can see there on the screen, they actually have provided a couple of links of examples for you to view. There's a professional design example, and there's also a hand-drawn example. Don't stress too much about this step. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. In fact, here is a very simple drawing of one of our customers that did their project. So it can just be a drawing. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just a rough drawing with some basic dimensions, with an idea as to what it is that you're thinking that you're going to put in place. If it's something that you're planning on changing up later on, that's fine. You can always change things as you go along, so long as it's abiding by, what's eligible. Okay. And then, and last thing, another reason why I don't want you to stress too much about this is because, we are going to be out there doing the pre-inspection. When we do that, we do our own drawing, we do our own measurements. So once again, don't stress too much about this. And the third and final upload is not a document, it's your photos. So when you get to the photos section, it highlights it right here, the types of photos that you need to put in there for your application to get approved. It's going to ask you for 1 to 2 photos of the entire site, just to kind of have a general idea as to what the property looks like. And then 2 to 3 photos that represent the entire area of the lawn area that you're planning on converting. And then another 3 to 4 photos to just kind of show the turf kind of close up at different angles. And then that's going to get uploaded right there in that button that you see right there. Okay, so I know I've been doing a lot of talking. We're going to take a quick little pause here for you to do a poll. I just want to get an idea as to what you think is eligible. So here you have 2 sites. You have an A site and a B site. Which of these sites do you think the entire plot of area would be eligible? So I think Amelia is going to go ahead and put up that poll for you, and then let's see what you think.
Ozzy, are you able to see the poll? It is launched.
Yeah, so it is launched. If you don't see the poll, make sure that you click on your chat. So in your chat window, you should see the poll if the poll did not pop up in front of your screen. And then everyone should be able to see what everyone else is putting down there. So it looks like we have like 50% of chosen 53%. It keeps changing.
We have a couple responses in the chat too, a couple more A's and a few more A's. Looks like more people are selecting A as their response, would be entirely eligible. All right.
Okay. So the answer is it's A. So there must be grass or signs of root mass at the pre-inspection with Santa Margarita Water District. So that doesn't mean that B is completely ineligible, but there must be at least that root mass there. So if it's bare soil, if it's completely dirt, those areas would be ineligible. So would the weeds in B. So in B, the clovers and the bare soil would be ineligible, but we would still be able to measure those edges there that look like grass. The reason why A is still completely eligible is that we can see root mass throughout that entire rectangle there, even though it is brown. Okay, so what is the sustainability feature? So like it says on the slide, it's a rainwater capture system designed to reduce rainwater runoff onto sidewalks and streets. This will be a requirement of the project, so you must have a sustainability feature in place in the project. These are some of the choices that you have. You know, a rock garden, rain garden, dry riverbed, swale, or a rain barrel. Notice that the rock garden only took out some grass. And so this is a good opportunity for me to bring up there. The minimum requirement to qualify for the turf removal rebate is 250 square feet. If you have less than 250 square feet, like let's say, for example, you only have 100 square feet of lawn on your entire property, that 100 would qualify for the rebate so long as that removes all of the grass that is left on your property. But otherwise, the minimum requirement is 250 square feet. So, you know, we just want to point out that as much as we're promoting turf removal, you know, we get it. You know, if you really like that lawn and you don't want to take all of it out, you don't have to. You know, you can just take out certain portions of it. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention with looking at some of these examples is that on the vegetated swale and dry riverbed, notice that that there is a depression in these sustainability features. The point of the sustainability features is that you want to capture the water. You want to keep as much of that water on your property as possible so that it can seep into the soil, into the earth. You know, therefore replenishing our our natural springs. We want to keep as much of that water off our sidewalks. So it's important to have that depression. Many times when I've gone out and done post inspections, they get the sustainability feature, but then they make it all flat, and so that defeats the purpose because if it's all flat, you know, you get a good little heavy rain like you did this last weekend, and that water's still going to run off. So very important to make sure that you get a good depression so that it can realistically capture as much of that water as possible. Okay, another common question that pops up is artificial turf. Artificial turf is not allowed. Why not? Artificial turf is not allowed because the goal is to save water and capture the water, like I just said with the sustainability feature. A lot of people get the first part. You know, they're saving water, and then they ask, what's it matter if I, if I replace my lawn, if I took out my lawn and I put in, artificial turf, why does it matter? I'm not using water there anymore. And that is very true. You're not using water there anymore. But there is that second component, which is to capture the water. We want to be able to capture the water. If you have artificial turf, there's still drains that are hooked up to that. And the water, you get a rainfall, and then the water that's falling on the artificial turf is still going down the drain and still ending up in the street. So with that said, the other thing that isn't eligible for a rebate is the hardscape and concrete, because that would do the same thing. Like you see in photo, the water would collect and it would eventually just go down the drain. It's got nowhere to actually seep into the ground. Another reason is artificial turf is petroleum based. It is not biodegradable, so eventually it does end up in a landfill. And usually with artificial turf, you need to replace it about every 10 years or so. And so, we don't want to, fix one environmental problem by creating another one. And, like I said in the beginning, we're promoting beautiful, colorful, living landscapes that that grow and come back. So high efficiency irrigation. It would be counterproductive if you had this beautiful new living landscape with these low water use plants, but then you still had your old irrigation system. Your old irrigation system, a traditional spray head, is 2.5 gallons per minute. That's as much as a shower. So if you wanted to do a little study, go around your house and count every single spray head that you have in your house, multiply that by 2.5, multiply that by how many weeks, I'm sorry, by how many minutes a week you water, and that's how many gallons you are using at your property just on irrigation alone. So the irrigation system must either be capped or it must be converted to a high efficiency one. And the two photos here, these are two examples. The one on the left is the rotating sprinkler nozzle. Rotating sprinkler nozzles, they use about 20 to 25% less water. They have a better application rate, which means that the water that is outputting from that nozzle is actually being applied to the landscaping. It's not just getting evaporated into the air. The other example here on this page is the drip irrigation. So you can do the drip line. When you go to drip line, you're now going from something that used gallons per minute to something that is using gallons per hour. It's just applying a drip at the plant, therefore saving you a ton of water. And now that I'm talking about drip, this is a good opportunity for me to point out that there is a separate rebate program called the spray to drip that requires a separate application. But you could actually do both applications. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to remove my lawn and I know that I want to do drip irrigation, you can absolutely do both applications. Just make sure that you fill them out both separately and submit it both separately. And then when we go out there to do the pre-inspection, we will be doing the pre-inspection for both applications. So you can absolutely take advantage of those. There is also another side rebate. Once again, go to smwd/rebates for all things rebates. There is a nozzle rebate. So they actually have a rebate for $2 per head. I think it's a minimum of 15 or 30. I forget what the minimum requirement is, but you can just buy the nozzles that rotate and get $2 back per head on that. That's a whole other separate application. So check that out. Okay, so now we're going to do our second and last poll. So which of these pavers are eligible?
Okay, let me get that poll up there. There was a question about one of your previous slides, the calculation, if you could review the number of spray heads times 2.5, is this 2.5 gallons? Is that basically what you were explaining? If you could explain that while I get the poll up, that'd be great.
Yeah, so count up how many spray heads you have in your property, multiply it by 2.5, and then you're going to have to, if you don't know offhand, you're going to have to look at your irrigation controller and then add up the total minutes. You could either do it total minutes for just the day or the total minutes for the week, but it's basically just going to be one big long multiplication problem. So it would be so how many heads times 2.5 times how many minutes? And that could either be how many minutes a day or how many minutes a week. And then that will tell you how many gallons you're using for that particular length of time.
All right, that poll is launched in the chat. Looks like a lot of people are responding, or at least we got a few responses there in the chat. Feel free to answer the question there.
Okay. So the answer is the A is eligible. So pavers should be spaced at least 2 inches apart and set in permeable material like decomposed granite, gravel, sand, or pebbles. They must not exceed 3 feet by 3 feet. So it doesn't mean that you can't have pavers, but they have to look something like they do in A, where they're spaced apart, and in between those spaces you have something that will allow the water to seep through. So you can't grout it in cement like in B, where the water is just going to wash off. So that there's two things wrong with B. One, yeah, it's grouted in cement, it's going to wash off, and then two, they're not spaced apart far enough apart. All right, so we're going to move on to the next slide. We're almost done here. This is the landscape design assistant. So MODOC does offer a program that is with a third-party landscape design consultant. this is something that you can definitely take advantage of. So if you have like no idea as to how you're going to go about this, how am I going to design this brand new landscape? What kind of plants should I pick? What kind of sustainability features should I use? If you have absolutely no clue, this might be something that you would be interested in. You will get a free design. I do want to let you know, though, that it is front yard projects only, and it must be a minimum of 600 square feet of grass in order to qualify. Also, too, this has been very popular in the past. So if you are really interested in taking advantage of this LDAP, I would apply sooner rather than later because there usually is a wait list. So that will extend your rebate process out because you will have to, get on that list. Right now, MODOC is saying it's 1 to 2 months, but based on demand and popularity, that's always subject to change. So if you are interested in applying for LDAP, what you'll do is you'll submit your application the way you normally are going to, and then you're going to email MODOC, letting them know your interest in LDAP, so that way they can put you on that list. It's up on that screen there, and we'll be sure to put it up in the chat as well. It's turf removal at modoc.com, or you can call them at that phone number there. And this is what the landscape design would look like. This is an example here that was made by the third-party company that they hired, the Plant Nerd. So you can see there on the left, there's a diagram of the property. There's a plant legend showing what each of those plants are that are going in place. And there's also some notes there that have some suggestions like what kind of sustainability feature would be, would be good for this property. This is a big value here that that you can take advantage of that normally would be very expensive. Okay, so now I am going to turn things back to Amelia, and she is going to talk about our online resources.
Thank you, Ozzy. Yeah, there's a lot of great questions in the chat, and a couple people are asking about landscape design. We've got some great events coming up for spring that are just going to make that so much easier for everyone. But in the meantime, our online resources are also very comprehensive. It's easiest just to go to smwd.com/save water in order to really capture kind of all the things that we offer, from leak assistance to garden design to plants. One very, very helpful resource if you're just trying to get a feel for the types of plants and how to lay out a simple garden, ocplants.org is a wonderful site to go through. I'll put it in the chat for those that are interested. You can create your own customized plant lists. We also have templates too, which are useful for trying to get a feel for 5 different garden styles that are California friendly or climate friendly. We've got the Mediterranean, the Southwest, the Meadow, Home Orchard, and California Native, all laid out for you there with bulletproof plant lists to go along with them. And then in spring, next slide, we have a number of resources on our classes page for spring. So coming up here, I'd like to make you aware on February 10th, that'll be a Saturday, we'll be hosting a booth at the Armstrong Garden Center in San Juan Capistrano. This will be an event where we welcome people to come out, talk more about rebates with us, but also come out and connect with the Armstrong Garden Center landscape design team. They offer pretty much a free design if you go through them on the installation. You have to order a certain number of plant material for a lot of these nursery programs. We still find that being at the nursery, seeing the plants can really bring everything to life for people. And to have that resource kind of there, the designers will be there with us too. So if you are curious about other landscape design options, we will be at Armstrong Garden Center on February 10th. That's listed on our classes page. We'll also have some pruning and workshops in February, as well as our highlight is our garden tour in April. If you really want to see climate-friendly gardens in action, feel free to kind of keep an eye on our classes page so that you can see when the garden tour, the spring garden tour, activates there. It'll be April 27th this year. It'll be homeowners within the community here opening up their gardens for you to see what they've done in the climate-friendly styles. And also we'll have a designer expo for you to connect with designers here at our district headquarters too. Feel free to come out anytime. Also at the garden here, we have a demonstration garden at our headquarters at 26111 Antonio Parkway. And always happy to walk you around and give you a tour of what we've been testing out here in the garden as far as styles and plants as well. I'm going to move back over to the chat so then I can field some questions for you, Ozzy, if you haven't already been tracking those.
Sure, sure.
One question, must you submit your application before you submit for design assistance? What comes first?
Yeah, so you can actually get the application submitted and then email the turf removal at modoc.com, right after you submit it, letting them know. Also, too, there is the option on your site plan. So you still have to draw a site plan, even though you're going to have somebody come out to do the sign up for the LDAP. So, but like I said, don't stress it. It could just be any basic drawing. On that site plan, you could also write on there that you would like to apply for the LDAP. But to play it safe, what I would do is I would write it on the site plan saying that, hey, I wanna apply for the LDAP, and then also follow up with that email to turfremoval@modoc.com, letting them know. That way you know for sure that they're not going to miss you.
That's a great point. There was another comment about it being difficult to get a hold of MODOC for LDAP. And the Landscape Design Assistance Program has always been in pretty high demand since it came out. There was a period in time where we were on only wait lists for that program. That has now changed. So the process has become a little bit easier to get a hold of the MODOC team on this. So definitely reach back out and try that again if you tried before and were not able to get a hold of them in regards to getting design assistance. And then this is a really great question from Randy, or actually more of a comment, is that, it seems like he'll still have to hire a gardener to take care of his yard. And I think that's a great point. Yes, we're not claiming that getting rid of the grass would equal zero maintenance at all on your property. Obviously, any landscape is really ever changing, but the idea is that we get into these patterns of seasonal maintenance versus weekly or even biweekly maintenance, like the mowing and the hedging. We really want to work with doing, less is more. And then when will the rebate funds run out was another question.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, so currently, we haven't, it's difficult to say exactly when the funds will run out, but, as far as we know, they're not running out anytime soon. If anything, we're trying to ramp up more programs. So that once again, always make sure that you go back to smwd.com/rebates, because if anything, we're trying to promote more of this kind of stuff, especially as we are going into warmer, drier climate.
That's a great point, Ozzy, too. Sorry to interject there, is that definitely keep going back to the rebates page, because there's expected changes to come through about possibly more money for trees. If people are interested in planting new trees on their property, that's supposed to hit around March time. So, always check back, see what the latest and greatest is. We do always get word that things are changing.
Right, exactly. And then I can't remember if I said it in the presentation, but I did want to bring up that, what rate that you apply for. So like, for example, right now, the turf removal is $3 per square foot. The rate that you apply for is the rate that you get. So, rates, depending on funding, depending on things they could always be different. If that is a concern for you, once again, yeah, we encourage you to always visit our rebates website so that you can see what it is. But what it is that you sign up for is what you get, because that's what you've been budgeted.
Yeah, they basically put that money aside for you and keep it safe, until your project is completed. Which is right now we're at a 90-day completion period. You can apply for extensions, but it is, they really hope that you could get that project complete within that 90 days. The other question came up in the chat was about walkways and small patios and how they affect the rebate. Just wanted to kind of emphasize that any kind of hardscape that's connected, if it's not permeable, it'll most likely be subtracted. So we want that water to get through. So if your pavers that you install are a minimum or a maximum of 3 feet square, like our 3-foot concrete paver squares, in more of our modern landscapes, they just have to have a 2-inch gap in between them so that water can filter through in the joint. And so what we do is we come out, and when we measure on our post inspection, we just subtract anything that's not eligible. So just because you have one ineligible area doesn't mean that your whole application would not be received. So you will receive anything that you're eligible for. And then are there any senior or military discounts? None that I'm aware of. I don't know, Ozzy, have you seen otherwise?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it's pretty much as long as you're SMWD customer. Um, and then, so as with the grass, do you need to see trees before removing for the tree bait? And the tree bait is basically, the concept of that is that you're incorporating a new tree into this garden area that you're creating. So the tree bait would only be for newly planted trees. Yeah, so we are pushing to 1:12. We're getting a little bit past our time allotted. I hope this class has been really helpful for you, Ozzy. Thank you for running through all those details. I'm going to launch the last poll in the chat if you're still here to let us know if you found this class to be helpful, if you thought that we did a good job at addressing some of the questions that you had coming in, and maybe even informing you about other things that you were not sure about. So, and then also note that we will send a video out of this presentation for you to refer to in the future. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Ozzy, for doing a great run through.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you guys coming out.